I don't know if this is a thing that people do, but this is something I like to understand. I've never really seen it anywhere. But if we look at our hand when we're holding a mala, I sit it on 3 fingers like this. And for me, this is Sattva. The top finger is Sattva. This is Rajas, and this is Tamas. It sits on the hand. So your practice sits on top of Sattva. Sattva protects it from Rajas and Tamas. And then as you chant, you move this top finger into the thumb. Ram, 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 Ram. This is the Atman. And this is Brahman. And you're moving with the first finger, your Atman to Brahman, Sita to Ram, Radha to Krishna. And this is the practice of just bringing the Atman to Brahman, from devotee to God, but it's on top of Sattva. Hello everyone, Ram Ram. Hope you're all doing well. This weekend, very important weekend for Go Dharmic. As many of you will know, it's Compassion in Action Challenge, and we'll be working hard, embarrassing ourselves, distributing links to people in the hope that they can contribute something to Go Dharmic. So if you haven't made your page yet, Lakshman, please share the link in the chat, and I hope you can all become a hero for Go Dharmic this weekend. And you don't need to climb a mountain, you don't need to run a marathon. All you need to do is sit on the sofa with the Bhagavad Gita in hand and send some WhatsApp messages. So it shouldn't be too difficult. So please do join that if you're able to. And you can do it from anywhere. And even if you're really busy that weekend, if you can commit some small time towards it, it would be every penny makes a difference and will make a difference to our cause. So I would really appreciate that. I guess whenever I say that, I think of the squirrel that the monkeys were laughing at in the Ramayana. And perhaps for some of you that might not have heard it before, I'll share it again. As they were building the bridge towards Lanka, lots of huge boulders being placed in the ocean between India and Sri Lanka, so that they could cross the ocean and rescue Sita. But there was one squirrel, and that squirrel would go into the water, soak its body in the water, then go back into the sand and collect some sand on its body, then go back into the water and then shake itself. So a few grains of sand would fall. And then everybody, like all these huge beings that were so powerful, lifting these huge boulders, were laughing. And they were saying, "What are you doing? What's this small squirrel doing?" And the squirrel continued to do what it was doing. But then Sri Ram saw the squirrel and he said, "No, you shouldn't laugh," and honored the squirrel and loved the squirrel, and said that the squirrel is with those small pieces is holding the whole bridge together, is keeping the whole thing intact. So those small contributions, those small efforts, everything goes towards, making that big difference that we're trying to make. And it said that Ram's hand was placed on the back of the squirrel with 3 fingers, and you often see squirrels with stripes on the back. And it said that those stripes are Ram's blessing for squirrels. So the next time you're in the park or the forest having a walk and you see a squirrel and you see the marks on its back, maybe you can think of Ram and remember those blessings that are there. Okay. So into the Gita, we completed 13 chapters, and we're in chapter 14. The last chapter very much about the field of activity in this world and creating that feeling that there is the spiritual within and around the material. So making us understand that in Sankhya philosophy, in this chapter, it is about the gunas. Is gunas a term that we are familiar with? Like, do people know what gunas are? Some maybe come across gunas in the past. Again, it's one of those words that there is no real translation, like dharma or yoga or even bhakti or God. In the English term is very difficult to translate that. But gunas can be, I guess, qualities of a thing or mode. It's a kind of a category, but it's not. Well, we can go into it and explore it, but I guess qualities and mode are the two words that come to my mind that best describe what gunas are. And the understanding is that in this chapter, we'll explore how we can understand what's going on within us, in the world, and around us um, from from the perspective of gunas, which are in everything we do in this whole world. And I really love this understanding, and I think it can be applied to everything. So it's really kind of life changing to look at the world through the lens of the gunas and aspire to be better through that lens. So here goes. Krishna says, again, I shall declare to you this supreme knowledge. Sarva param siddhim. Knowing this, all the sages have attained the highest perfection. So again, we're being taught something very profound by Krishna. Through this knowledge, they attained a state similar to mine. Mama sadharmyam. Mama sadharmyam. Now you can take it however you want it, right? Like, are we looking from an Advaita lens? A state similar to mine. What is Krishna saying here? Is it like through understanding this wisdom, we will become one with God? We'll identify with spiritual nature, but I will connect with God through this understanding. O descendant of, through this knowledge, they attained a state similar to mine. Consequently, they are not born at the time of creation, nor are they disturbed at the time of dissolution. So we become eternal through this knowledge. O descendant of Bharata, material nature is Mahad Brahma, this great Brahman, this entire existence. Material nature, Mahad Brahma Tasmin Garbha. Garbha is the womb into which I plant the seed of life, the embryo. All beings arise from this source. So in this verse, we're being told that this entire existence is there, but God has placed life within that existence, the embryo of life, within all of this cosmos. O son of Kunti, whatever forms appear in various species of life, material nature is the womb, and I am the one seed-giving Father. All life that exists as one source, sub-ek, within that entire existence. So we kind of build it up. Let's very much again following on from field and knower of the field, or the Atman, or the divine within and of the world. And now we go into the gunas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So Sattva is the mode of goodness or truth. Rajas is passion. And Tamas is darkness or ignorance. So I guess we'll continue to read here for a bit, and then I'll give a few examples of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And I think it'll be nice to explore these in our own life. Like we can maybe pause a little bit early, and I can, hold a Rajasic sword to all of you, and encourage you to explore this together a little bit, because Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas is applicable to absolutely everything we do in our life. O great armed Arjuna, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are the gunas born of the material nature. They are the things that bind this imperishable, embodied soul to a physical form. This is great philosophical teaching here. The Atman within all of us, all of you, is bound to the world around you through Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So it's through these modes that we get tied to the world. O faultless one, the material quality of Sattva, which is pure, illuminating, and free of disease, binds one through attachment to happiness and knowledge. It's an interesting point, because even Sattva, which we hold so highly, can bind us into attachment. We can be bound to religion or study or spiritual practice or to other people, other living beings. Attachment can come from Sattva, even goodness too. Yeah. There's a really nice note here, actually. I want to read this. Shukavak has written it. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are conceived in Sankhya and Vedanta as the three gunas of matter. Sattva makes for a steady and balanced condition of matter. Rajas stimulates energetic and constructive activity. Tamas is responsible for inertia and disintegration. The Sanskrit word has many meanings, including quality, mode, constituent, element, etc. Consequently, the gunas have been translated into English as modes of nature, the qualities of matter, the constituents of matter. The idea of mode is perhaps best translated as it suggests a disposition or an orientation to reality. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are not acts, but ways of acting, dispositions which cause us to act in certain ways. So they are not the act, they are the disposition that causes you to act in such a way. When one has managed to transcend the three gunas, according to Shankara, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are called gunas. One attains true freedom when one has managed to transcend the three gunas. According to Shankara, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are called gunas not because of the qualities of matter, but because the Sankhyas chose that particular word as a technical term. Okay. All right. So we know that our goal in life is to transcend the gunas. We want to get past all of it that binds us. Sattva is pure and illuminating. Rajas is desire, the seed of desire. Trishna. And it is that desire which springs from thirst and attachment. May we not thirst. May we not thirst. That rajasic thirst for things of the world. O son of Kunti, through attachment to action, it binds the embodied soul. Okay. Now know that tamas arises from ignorance and causes bewilderment of every living being. O descendant of Bharata, it binds one through madness, idleness, and laziness, and sleep. Sattva causes attachment to happiness. Rajas causes activity, and tamas, which obscures knowledge, causes attachment to madness. So let's think about that for a while before we proceed. And I've got a few examples that I wanted to share with you and explore together. If we think about food, which is usually my first go-to thing, as many of you will know who have been here since January, the first thing that comes up is normally food, to eat, but also to serve. I heard an interesting analogy that somebody used, that for the modern times, if we were to apply sattva and rajas to the way we eat, we might consider food that is organic, vegan, vegetarian, straight from the farm, without any kind of adulteration, or picked from a tree. This could be considered sattvic, or food that we prepare at home. We cook ourselves with our own hands and cut up and, cook with love ourselves, or it's offered as prasad. Maybe at home that could be considered as sattvic food. And then rajasic food, maybe that's eating out, where we go and, we don't understand what the chef's been feeling, what emotions he's cooking with, whether he's, angry and sharing, that same negativity or energy in the food, or we don't know what kind of oils they're using, or where the food has come from, or how old it is. Could be overly spicy or unhealthy sources and whatever. Could be considered rajasic. And then tamasic, we could perhaps associate with packet food, noodles that would survive on Mars for 1,000 years, but do not digest in the human body. Maybe that kind of food. I think of a video somebody shared me with. They put a potato next to a McDonald's chip, and then they just put a video camera on it. And after a few months, the potato had disintegrated, but the McDonald's chip just continued to survive for eternity. And it was kind of like no bacteria can break it down, or nothing wants to break it down. And it kind of makes you feel that, wow, maybe that's not really food. Maybe it's something tamasic in that. So sattva, rajas, and tamas. And I think, the way I look at something like religious texts in general, somebody might pick up the Bible or the Quran or the Gita, and they are projecting onto the text the qualities that they're bringing, their mode. So it's kind of like, if you wear yellow glasses, the entire book looks yellow. If you wear green glasses, the entire book looks green. And that's what Krishna talks about a lot in the Gita with Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, that if we look at the book from a sattvic lens, then we will look and see the good in that. We will see the love in that. We'll see the positivity in that. But if we approach it from a very rajasic end and a power position, we say, my God, Krishna's teaching Arjuna how to kill his family. He's teaching him how to become strong enough so that he could conquer the world and conquer the kingdoms. And a rajasic person might look at it from that perspective. And similarly, other texts, like if you're if you're looking at any of these sacred texts from the position of rajas or tamas, you will find that. So it's almost like you need to clean the plate before you eat the food. We need to create the foundation of mindfulness, of love, of compassion, and service, purity, and then approach the text to find more of that and reinforce that sadhana of connecting with God. And that's the sattva and rajas and tamas. And one of the things I like to do, uh, I don't know if this is a thing that people do, but this is something I like to understand. I've never really seen it anywhere. But if we look at our hand when we're holding a mala, I sit it on 3 fingers like this. And for me, this is sattva. The top finger is sattva. This is rajas, and this is tamas. It sits on the hand. So your practice sits on top of sattva. Sattva protects it from rajas and tamas. And then as you chant, you move this top finger into the thumb. Ram, 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 Ram. This is the Atman. And this is Brahman. And you're moving with the first finger, your Atman to Brahman, the Sita to Ram, Radha to Krishna. And this is the practice of just bringing the Atman to Brahman, from devotee to God. But it's on top of sattva. So I don't know if this is a thing that's actually there. I just made it up. I don't know. But I've always felt that. And the fingers naturally, sattva is the larger, and then rajas is less, and then tamas less. So again, it can be applied to the food we eat, the sacred texts we read, the way we treat one another, our aspirations and goals in life, even how we chant a mala. It can apply to everything in this material existence, has sattva, rajas, and tamas to varying degrees. Now, our goal is to reach God, to find the divinity within our own hearts. And to do that, we need to move to the mode of goodness, move to the mode of truth, move to the mode of kindness. As we know, tamas arises from ignorance and causes the bewilderment of all embodied souls. O descendant of Bharata, it binds one through madness, idleness, and sleep. Sattva causes attachment to happiness. Rajas causes activity. And tamas obscures knowledge, causing attachment to madness. Sometimes sattva dominates, overpowering rajas and tamas. Likewise, rajas overpowers sattva and tamas, or tamas overpowers sattva and rajas. Sometimes we see varying degrees. When knowledge arises, illuminating all the gates of the body, know that sattva has become strong. When you really feel there's goodness there, when you feel there's light there, honesty and love, you can feel that sattva guna that is there. When rajas has become strong, greed, worldly entanglement, engagement, great undertakings, turmoil, crazy desire, anger, rajas is there. And we see this a lot in our politicians of today. That it seems very much about greed and power and strength, and you can feel that although in the political realm a degree of rajas is required to perhaps do work, but sattva, when it's dropped too low, can become imbalanced. O joy of the Kurus, when tamas intensifies, gloom, inactivity, madness, and delusion arise. If the embodied soul meets death while sattva dominates, one reaches spotless worlds who know the highest. In this verse 14, I guess what Krishna is alluding to is that if you live a sattvic life, you will progress spiritually. You will perhaps be reborn in a position to be able to progress in that world, either here or in another world. So progress takes place when you're sattvic, or even now, like the fact that we are called in our hearts to go on a spiritual journey at all is the fruit and the benefit of previous past acts of spirituality or service or goodness that have given us this opportunity to explore God. Some can be so deluded and lost that no amount of spiritual love will affect them. So many people came to see Maharaji, they say, and so many just walked on, like, oh, just walking past. There's nobody here, nothing to see here. So many people would have seen Jesus, walked past, but only a few really recognized the love that was there. And that is karma. That is, the past acts of karma that's being described there. That we're so fortunate, and when we have that boat to be able to take us across the ocean of samsara, then we can carry that forward. I feel so blessed, like I just feel like I was called by Maharaji to spend time with Ram Das, or to do this service work, and to do all that we are involved in, and that is the greatest thing. That is the grace that allows us to do that. If one meets death while rajas dominates, the embodied soul takes birth among those who are attached to activity. And if one dies in a tamasic state, the embodied soul takes birth in wombs of the ignorant. So I guess a very simple verse where, talking about the future after death. If we live a sattvic life, we progress into goodness. If we live a life full of anger and greed and desire, then that is the direction where we go. And if we live a tamasic life of ignorance, then that will be the direction we go. There's a saying that I once heard saying, "Bhais ko Bhagavad mat sikhao." And basically it says, don't teach the Bhagavata to a buffalo. It won't understand. It won't get it. And I guess it's kind of saying with people who might be very stubborn or ignorant, or full of heavy opinion, then they won't be soft enough to understand the subtleties of a text like this, and it would be lost on them. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't love them. Thank you, everybody. May all be happy and free from suffering. Ram Ram. Take care. And for those who can, please do join us this weekend. Please do create your pages. Encourage others to create their pages. Any squirrels that you know are very welcome to join us on the fundraiser. We really need help with this. So it's a heartfelt request to please, that link that Lakshman has shared, we can share in the Journey Within group on WhatsApp. If everyone is a part of that group, I hope that you are. But we have a WhatsApp group for these weekly sessions. And if you're able to, please do join that program this weekend. And if you have any ideas for it, let us know. You don't need to climb any mountains. You don't need to. We had Barry Godrian. He did a marathon across Mount Everest for Go Dharmic. And then the next year, he did a marathon across the Arctic for Go Dharmic. And then this year we had a group of 10 or 12 people who climbed 3 mountains of the UK in 24 hours. In Scotland, in the Midlands, and then Wales within 24 hours to raise funds. You don't need to do any of that. Just sit on the sofa, relax, mala in hand, and just circulate these messages with us. So I think there's going to be around 200 of us trying to do this. We're going to try and raise 100,000 together, and it's a heartfelt request to please do support Go Dharmic with that and share it with others to get some more heroes. If you know some people who have too much money, then please send it to them. This is for them. We can help them. We can help them with their suffocation. All right. Much love, everyone. Ram Ram. Take care. See you next week. Jai Shri Ram.